On the chat channels, no one's more disappointed that we don't have those yet than us. Well, maybe some people aren't. Some people are pretty disappointed. We're working on getting chat channels in, and we'll get them in there as soon as we can. And any features like that we put into BattleNet for, say, StarCraft 2, we'll translate over to Diablo 3. On the different regions, I have to say that I'm somewhat undereducated on the subject. But as I have been, from what I understand, there's no plans right now to make the regions cross-communicate.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got time for a couple more.
Hi. So last year you mentioned that there's going to be the hardcore mode. This year you're doing the PvP arenas. Are we going to see a hardcore PvP arena?
Yeah, we answered that. If you go hardcore and you go into the arena, you'll die.
Awesome.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hi. Not another PvP question, though. This is regarding the end game. So, in Diablo 2, we like to farm a lot, and we had to make tons and tons of mules in the late game because we wanted to keep everything. And you guys kind of fixed the Tetris problem with the looting, but it's still not alleviated. So how are you guys going to handle like us having tons and tons of mules? I don't expect you guys to make us buy like so many CD keys of Diablo 3. That would be bad. And really expensive.
I'm gonna translate what I think you're asking. I think you're asking two questions. Yeah. One is the stash going to be bigger? I think that's one of the questions. And the other question is probably how many characters can we have? And I referenced that based on the CD key. So we haven't determined the number of characters per account, but because accounts don't work the same as they did before, it's not like you have a CD key and you can make tons and tons of BattleNet accounts. It's you have a CD key and you have your BattleNet account. The number of characters is going to be a lot higher. Exactly what that number is, I can't say, but it's going to be, we're going to try and make it a number that's actually really hard to hit. Yes, go right ahead. So get ready to applaud more, and we're going to make sure that we never delete your characters. Even if you leave the game and come back. The other side of the question is the stash is massive. It's very, very, very big. So it's so big. I have people tell me I think the stash might be too big, and then I hit those people and they are quiet.
Thank you. I think we could squeeze in one more.
Thank you very much. I just want to give a quick shout out to the raid group on Lightbringer, and my question has to do with the stash. Is there any plans on having the stash being able to be shared between characters so you can eliminate muling completely?
Yes. Blizzcon exclusive, by the way.
You know what? I think we'll squeeze in one more. Come on up.
Yeah, I had a question about Diablo. I ran into a problem myself as far as you mentioned all the permutations of all the abilities and such. And if you spread your abilities too thin, you might be setting yourself up for failure. I didn't get to the end of Diablo 2 as far as max level, but I was curious if there's anything in Diablo 3 to assist the player in making decisions that you might currently, for some games, rely on intellectuals to have to make for you. Is there anything going to be able to help you say, well, you know what, you're at this difficulty, you're at the 19th level of hell or whatever, it's probably not a good idea to start picking up these new abilities, build up your current ones, that type.
Yeah, okay, so there's a lot of improvements to being able to make builds, period. As in, it's easier to see your build, to understand your build, to build it without sacrificing any depth. So, number one, there's a lot of UI improvements that make it very easy to make the choices. The abilities are tiered, so you can have fewer, better choices at any given time. There's currently a spending limit at the beginning of the game for every skill. You spend 5 skill points into it, and over the course of the game, you can expand that. So to make a long story short, we're taking choices like that, and we're dragging them out a little bit longer, so you have fewer, better choices to make. When you're making, these builds or respecking or whatever, it's going to be a lot simpler for you to understand it. I'm not sure if I answered all of your question. Was there any part I missed?
Just that I think some of the abilities later on didn't really scale. So if you put a whole bunch of points into them, when you got, I think it was, I played the Necromancer, the Summoned Skeletons, I think. Later in the game, it didn't seem like it was that.
So any given build has 7 skills that you can choose, and then the different levels of depth that you can put skill points into it. So we have fewer, better skills for any given build, and that's going to control the ability for you to spread it too thin. You simply can't spread it too thin. It's very hard to make a bad build with this new system, actually.
Thank you guys very much. Everybody give them a round of applause. We appreciate it.
Where the fans were asking the designers all the tough questions, and they mentioned the dance studio, something that Tom Tilton also confirmed here on the DirecTV stage first, Kat. Now we are back here, and we are moving into the world of Diablo 3, which is being played here behind us. It's been a huge line for all of Blizzcon to play the brand new Demon Hunter class. And Kat, we are now joined by Leonard Boyarsky, who's the lead world designer for Diablo 3. Been working on this game for many years, and now the final class has been revealed. What's the reaction? And I saw there's surveys that people fill out after they play the game, right, and give you guys real feedback?
Yeah, we don't get to see those until we go back to the office, but just from random samplings, it seems people have been really enthusiastic about it. It's been a great reaction. It was just great when we released the video yesterday at the opening ceremony. The crowd reaction was just phenomenal.
So up until BlizzCon, who's had a chance to play the Demon Hunter?
Just internally, just us testing it, making sure it was good for BlizzCon.
How do you guys decide the order of classes to reveal, like, holding the Demon Hunter until the end?
Well, the Demon Hunter was actually started out as a ranger, and we've been developing her for a long time. She just kind of kept getting pushed to the back. There wasn't a strategic plan.
Right.
You could probably talk to Jay Wilson a little bit more about that side of things. But we started off with the Barbarian because that was kind of a melee class and was very much about power, and that was a little bit more of a difficult thing to get right than a ranged class. So that was our first pushback on the Ranger. Right.